So, we asked you guys back in December to vote on who you thought were the best wrestlers, podcasts, on the mic, shows, etc. in all of 2018. We had over 2,000, way more than I thought would have participated. Over 2,000 of you actually voted, and we are now going to run down the list and the winners from our PWU 2018 year-end awards. The first award was for Best Wrestling Podcast. The nominees were Something to Wrestle, The Steve Austin Show, 83 Weeks, Jim Ross Report, and The Edge and Christian Pod of Awesomeness. And the winning podcast of the year actually went to the Steve Austin podcast. That was a big shocker to me. I thought it would have either gone to the ENC podcast or it would have gone to the Something to Wrestle podcast. The ENC podcast was second, with the Something to Wrestle in at third. The next award we do have here is a Best on the Mic. The nominees were Paul Heyman, Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Alexa Bliss, and The Miz. And barely winning this award by 0.5%. 0.5%. Not even 0.5%. Yeah, 0.5%. The Miz over Samoa Joe. The Miz, I'll tell you right now, The Miz came in at a 30.7% of the votes, with Samoa Joe at a 30.3% of the votes. Crazy. So the next up we got is Weekly Show of the Year. We got Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, NXT, MLW Fusion, and Being the Elite. And landslide victory here for NXT. The second place show was SmackDown Live. Next up was Major Show of the Year, basically like pay-per-view of the year. The nominees were WrestleMania 34, WWE Evolution, Wrestle Kingdom 12, New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion, and NXT TakeOver New Orleans, with NXT TakeOver New Orleans running away with the show with 47% of the votes. Second place was the Wrestle Kingdom 12. Now, as far as a feud of the year goes, the nominees were Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler, Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, and AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. And running away with 70% of the votes was Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, with 14% of the votes. In second place was Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Going forward, we had Match of the Year. Nominees were Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa from NXT TakeOver New Orleans, Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch from Evolution, Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega from Dominion, Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho from Wrestle Kingdom 12, and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kota Ibushi from the G1 Climax Finals. And Match of the Year does go to Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega, 2 out of 3 falls from Dominion. Second place did go to Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Moving forward with Most Improved Wrestler of the Year, the nominees were Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Velveteen Dream, Juice Robinson, and Filthy Tom Lawler. Taking away with 56% of the votes, it was the Velveteen Dream as Most Improved Wrestler of the Year. Second place does go to Ronda Rousey. Tag Team of the Year, the nominees were The Usos, The New Day, Pentagon and Phoenix, The Young Bucks, Undisputed Era, and SCU. And the actual winners, with 53% of the votes, Tag Team of the Year went to the Undisputed Era. Second place, with 23% of the votes, were the Young Bucks. 2 categories left with Female Wrestler of the Year. The nominees were Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Tessa Blanchard, and Toni Storm. And of course, running away with 72% of the votes, Female Wrestler of the Year, voted on by you guys, the subscribers of PWUnlimited, the man, Becky Lynch. Second place with 10% of the votes does go to Ronda Rousey. And Male Wrestler of the Year. The nominees were Kenny Omega, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Tommaso Ciampa, and Seth Rollins. And winning Male Wrestler of the Year with a 35% of the votes, it does go to Kenny Omega. In second place with 27% of the votes does go to Seth Rollins. So that is what you guys, the PW Unlimited fans, did vote on. Over 2,000 of you guys did vote on these polls. So I want to say thank you to everybody that did participate, everybody that did go on to pwunlimited.net/2018 year end and helped us out here with figuring out who you guys felt were the best of 2018.